Sweet. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It is 9:32 on Friday, which means it's Nerd Day. So there's a special nerd edition of Morning Tea with me and Rob. Today we're going to talk Kenobi, which
A lot of Kenobi.
a lot of Kenobi. We'll also bring up and this is based off of a conversation that Rob and I had offline about Orville. I think if I'm going to like the show at all, we're just going to call it New Horizons. I think I like that idea, and we'll get more into that later on. And Strange New Worlds. I think of the shows this week. Really, Kenobi takes the cake.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
It gives everything that we wanted. All the story arcs are there. And I know you had read somewhere that they had refilmed, like last minute refilming to kind of open it up for a potential second season. But all the articles that I've read right now, Kennedy has been like, well, we might do a second season.
Yeah,
so we just don't know if we want to do that. But there's the potential there. So it's kind of like that up in the air thing. So I don't know, did they really go back and do like last minute reshoots in the last few weeks? Or
that's a great question. And if they did, what were they? Right. So a lot of times, and you know this, and people watching this probably know this. A lot of times they do test showings. And so they probably did a test showing. They may have been like, hey, this scene isn't working quite well. Let's go back. Let's reshoot it a different way. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so when we get the word of, oh, there's some reshoots. Well, that was coming around the same time. They're saying, oh, they're looking at season 2, most watched Star Wars TV show. Hayden Christensen wants to do a Vader series, and he wants to do a season 2. And Ewan McGregor wants to do a season 2. And oh my God, everyone wants to do season 2. We're going to do a season 2, and they're setting it up. Those reshoots could have absolutely been parts with Third Sister. It could have been extra scenes with Luke when he's running through the canyon. It could have been the Qui-Gon scene. I mean, we don't know. We just know reshoots. Well, a lot of speculation, and exactly to your point, a lot of the people are coming out going, yes, we want to do it. We want to do it. We want to do it. The fans want it. As you and I talked, I think both of us in agreements. I'm okay if we're done.
Yeah, I'm a fan who doesn't want a second season.
I don't think it's needed.
It can just leave it as it is.
They can, and it was a clean ending. There was no real, the only thread, right? The only thread that's kind of out there is what happens to Third Sister. And I had a beer with a buddy of mine, one of the music buddies of mine for the radio station yesterday, and we were talking about it. And I'm stealing the way he described Third Sister's story arc, because he said it, and I went, wow, it's a failed redemption story.
Okay.
She's not redeemed. She's now, in a lot of ways, she's lost. She's not Sith. She's not an Inquisitor. She's definitely not a Jedi.
Right.
She's just lost. She didn't kill Luke. She just doesn't know what to do. And he was like, so maybe a second season, quote unquote, or spinoff tells her story. Maybe she pops up in Ahsoka. Maybe she shows up somewhere else in the Star Wars mythos, or she doesn't show up at all.
Right.
But it was a failed redemption story. She doesn't come to the light side. She just kind of comes to her senses. He's like, it's not that.
Yes.
She doesn't have all the anger released and gone, oh, Obi-Wan, I was so wrong. I sought revenge and I killed people. Oopsie. It was, I don't regret what I did. It just didn't work out. Why? I couldn't kill this kid because of my trauma.
Yeah.
So it's not redemption. It's a failed redemption story. And I like that approach to it. I think that's very fitting of her story arc.
So when she's talking to Obi-Wan at the end, and she's like, at first I heard I failed him. and then I heard I failed them.
Yeah, I failed.
So because I watched it like at least twice, but it was but still, even the second time, one time she said, I swear she says him, and I believed it was referencing Vader, but then I heard it as them, which is she failed them as in her fellow younglings.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and so, but it was like, but it didn't make sense when I heard the him, because she wasn't, the only reason she was working for Vader was to get revenge on Vader. So there was no failing him.
No,
there was failing them. So,
and that's what I had heard, and that really resonated with me from the standpoint of, again, what was her motivation, right? Revenge for killing all of my friends, for killing my teachers, my family. Because Star Wars comes down to that, right? It's a lot about family, and that was her family. And Vader comes in and kills them all, and Obi-Wan failed because he didn't stop it.
Right.
And so, is she still angry with Obi-Wan? Yeah, she is. Is she still mad at the world? Yeah, I think she is. But that's her. Now it's her cross to bear. I failed them. Is she gonna try it again? No, I don't think so. She's learned that, Vader manipulated her, knew exactly what was going on. She ended up in the same exact position against Vader, stabbed in the same way, and then went after Luke in an act of revenge and almost killed him in the exact same way. She was assaulted and couldn't bring herself to do it. So, she did. She failed them, and that's also what led to that failed redemption arc. If she killed Luke, obviously we wouldn't have Star Wars wouldn't exist after that, right? But if she came to the light side, I'd been saying that since the get-go. I didn't want to see her redeemed. I just didn't. Not every bad guy is going to come back to the light side, and she didn't, and I like that. I really like the way they did it. I mean, I was really unhappy with the character and the way it was presented in the first 2 episodes. I still stand by the idea that she was originally presented as a stereotypical angry black woman, and that does still bother me, because I think there's some parts that they could have added in. Exactly what those are, I don't have an idea, but there could have been something they could have put in. But then 3rd episode, 4th episode, we start seeing the motivation. We see Vader, in a lot of ways, her adopted father, is abusive. Walks in, force chokes her, lifts her up in the air, throws in the back. You failed me for the last time. That's all she's known, and so she's given herself into the dark side emotions, right? Revenge, anger, and this drive for power to drive her own personal vendetta, and willing to do whatever it takes to get in that position where she can kill Vader. It made more sense. And then as the story continued to progress, I like it. I like the character. I like where it's at. I just don't think they presented her in the best light in the beginning.
So watching the whole series right before part 6 and knowing, getting after, even in part 5, where, we learn of her true motivation, even though for me, the first 2 episodes of her overdoing it, I think she was, even though originally we took it as that, I see it now as her playing up the part that she's trying to play, to, like, she's like, it's almost like she always had good in her, and she's trying to play the bad guy, even though I totally agree, it was a failed redemption. She's neither good nor bad in the end, but that she's trying to play up the bad so she can get closer to Vader.
Right.
So, and so I think watching it just as those 2 episodes, I was just like, what is going on? But knowing her motivation, I was like, okay, that kind of gives a little bit more explanation. And watching it as a whole, I'm like, oh, okay. Now she does kind of chill out, which does lead a little bit of problems in the beginning, but I think I don't know, for me the whole her whole, even her acting up is I see is warranted. So
it's calculated.
Yeah. Well, we have some people, those who are watching, why don't you say hi? We're right now talking Kenobi. So if you have not seen any of the episodes or part 6, spoiler alert, that's what we're doing right now. But say, post in the chat, say hi, put in your thoughts. What do you think? So when I'm watching part 6, and my son and at least I thought just his wife was coming over to get some business cards, but the whole crew comes over right at the scene after Obi-Wan throws a bunch of rocks at Vader, and it's kind of that pan out from, you see these rocks, or you see the big arch cropping rocks, and you see him with his blue lightsaber like this, and Ashton walks up or I asked him, I get to the door, I'm like, hey, have you watched part 6 yet? And he's like, no, no. I said, no, you can't, because I had paused it. The scene where you just you just see this little guy with a blue lightsaber, and if it had but it wasn't him, it was after he had done that. So it was actually after he had sliced Vader's helmet.
Oh.
So he sliced Vader's helmet, stepped back, and then the camera panned back, and so you didn't have Vader in the shot at all. You just had you just had him hidden by the rocks over here, but you had this little guy, like this. And Ashton's like, I saw blue. I can't look at that. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So I had to, of course, this pivotal scene is interrupted on the first showing.
Right.
And then just because it happens sometimes when I try and scroll back to a part, the audio and the video was off.
It drives me nuts.
And I was like, ah. So I actually had to go back, and I went back to the pit and then watched it. I actually had to turn off all the apps, reset everything, go back to the pit and rewatch it. And of course, getting to watch it uninterrupted with my wife the second time, still amazing. Like, that was the fight that we've been waiting 40 plus years for.
And I will say, and I can't remember if I said this to you or not when we were talking about yesterday offline, but I, going into this, I was like, listen, we've had the encounters. I'm good if he doesn't fight Vader again. Like, I think we're okay. I stand incredibly corrected. That fight was 100% what we needed, and it's a good segue into kind of the things I see online, right? And we were talking about this yesterday. Everyone was flipping out, blowing up Twitter and everything else about the end where, Obi-Wan walks up to Luke and goes, hello there. Oh my God, he said it. Oh, and everywhere. And I'm sitting there going, y'all just missed the biggest thing, being what you and I talked about. Was sent you the article. Somebody made the observation that in Rebels, when Ahsoka fights him, she cuts off the left side of his helmet. Obi-Wan cuts off the right side of his helmet. So you have two people that are the closest to him, his brother and sister, for lack of better familial connection.
Yeah.
Student, master, whatever you want to look at. They can expose elements of Anakin, but only Luke can actually get the whole helmet off.
Right.
And I'm like,
and I thought that was a great observation.
Absolutely. It's like, that's beautiful. That's brilliant. But the line that it seems to have gotten shuffled underneath the fanfare of hello there was Vader, you know, it's sitting there with Obi-Wan going, I'm sorry. I failed you. I did this to you. And Vader looking at him and saying, you didn't kill Anakin. I did.
Yeah.
That brought a new hope. Everyone going, oh man, well, Obi-Wan, he'll stretch the truth. He'll manipulate it. He didn't. He used Vader's own words when he described Luke. What happened to my father? He was killed by Lord Vader, or by Darth Vader. As like you and I were talking about with Leia, which still seems to be the big issue. Oh, it's retconning. It's this. You know, we've talked about it before on here, but, you know, Leia consoling Luke after the death of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I don't see it as consoling him. I see it empathizing with the fact that you have what we now know is her brother. We didn't know at the time, but you have this moment where two people have literally lost their entire families.
Right.
You know, we have Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru. They're dead. They're crispy critters sitting on the side of Tatooine. We've got Obi-Wan, the last of Luke's family, is dead, and he has nothing. Alderaan's been blown up. Leia has nothing. The difference is, and it's kind of how I've been seeing it, and we talked about this yesterday offline, is I look at that moment now, and of course you look at it in hindsight, right? And you apply what you know to what you see. Now I look at it and see here is two siblings that are going through the exact same moment, handling it completely different, other ends of the coin. Yeah. Leia is stoic and probably crying on the inside. Luke is crying on the outside, emotions on his sleeve, but she's had experience with trauma. Luke's been shielded and covered and doesn't really have it. Right. You know, he's going to remember that this lady came into my house. No, he thought it was Tusken Raiders, you know, and that's why he's so scared and hesitant of Tusken Raiders in A New Hope. You know, so I think there's a lot of really cool parts that they did to bring in these multiple layers that allow you to then rewatch A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, and see these other elements of growth that now make more sense. Mm-hmm. That he lost a family but gained a family. She lost a family and gained a family, and that's where that moment is bonding. Just like what we've talked about before. Oh well, she knew Ben. Why did she send General Kenobi? Blah blah. You know, my whole thing has been, and I've been pretty consistent with this. You know, yes, she's a senator. So and I want you to talk about your theory that you were talking about yesterday, but. You know, she's a senator. So, yes, it is going to start off very, you know, General Kenobi, you served my father in the Clone Wars, and we call upon you again. The end line, the most quoted line from that whole speech until recently was, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are my only hope. That's the personal plea. Yeah. Right? And that was her to him, not, oh, you served my family. You need to help me. You have to. It was you know, you've helped me before. Help me again. Yeah. And I liked your take on it. We were talking about yesterday. If you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So my whole thing was that, like, the whole Luke and Leia and the consoling, because it was I like the concept of the two coins, but it was. He's never dealt with trauma, big trauma before. And so that's why we see him just like, oh my God, I just lost my new master because I had lost my other family. But she's already lost her whole family. She's had all of this experience. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm a warrior. You know, she's kind of already done this in a way. And so, and she's probably gone through the training. So she's like, I will mourn later. Right. And that, it's like, I need to take care of what's happening now and I will deal with it later. You know, anybody who's done security or law enforcement or military, like, to get through the moment, whatever trauma that you're experiencing, you have to compartmentalize that and then deal with, finish the mission, finish what you're doing, and then later you can recover.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I see it. And then the whole R2D2 thing is that maybe she doesn't, what if R2 is compromised? What if he is caught? They don't want that, it's like, okay, well, you're still making the connection between her father and Kenobi, because that's well known,
right,
potentially by people who were around 20 years earlier, but doesn't want to make any bigger connection.
Right.
So, but then again, if R2 was compromised, then he actually does have the Death Star plan. So I guess maybe that theory goes out the window.
Or he'll just delete his own hard drive, and that's the only thing they could salvage. I mean,
that's true. That's true. So, but now one thing, and I was trying to look at this. Go back to episode 1, and when Ben is going into his little cave and the little thing is popping up, I don't see blue at all.
Okay,
I never thought that was R2. I just thought that was a droid. Huh?
That was my first thought was, oh shit, that's R2.
Well, and I was thinking that, okay, that's R2. Well, we never see him. And even in the end, he's never packed up or given to anybody. So,
which is I was waiting for it. I was like, oh, he just stopped by to say hi. Cool. Here comes R2 off the ship. Like, I'm waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen. And so, I mean, it does make me question what I saw from that standpoint. Right. And it makes me go, what the hell happened to R2 from episode 3 to now? We know C-3PO went with Leia. Where's R2? How did those two guys get together? And maybe that's a droid's adventure at some point in time.
I always got the impression that that R2D2 and C-3PO were going to stay together, but and all we know is have the protocols droids memory wiped. So that's all that we know. So I was expecting, like, even watching the dinner scene, you see, like, that's C-3PO in the background.
Oh yeah,
there is 100%. No doubt that that's 3PO.
Nope.
But there is no R2.
Not at all.
So I don't know. Maybe he's serving on a ship under Captain Antilles.
That's very possible. I mean, there's that's one of those questions, and it's why I like how they're handling the TV stuff. Is because we're getting a lot of fanfare, but we have questions that we still ask because there's still threads out there and stories to be told, both with characters that we don't know yet, and then also with characters that we do know. And that's one of my questions. Where's R2? I love R2. I have R2s all over my house. Where's my boy? How does he get there?
I do like, now I noticed this, and even rewatching it, I wanted to see if there was more of a progression. But of course, you start off with Obi-Wan just wearing basically just like jeans, jeans and a t-shirt, working, not looking like a Jedi at all. And then he gets burnt, and then he ends up getting a cloak to get himself covered. Still wearing that stuff, or I think he was wearing the cloak when he left Tatooine.
Right.
So he's wearing the cloak, and then he gets burned by Vader on that one planet, and then he ends up in Jedi clothing.
Yep.
Without a cloak. And then he does the whole water thing, and then they come back. And then he gets a cloak, which I think is wicked looking, a cloak without sleeves.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I liked how they did that.
I like that look. And then at the very end, he's wearing his Jedi outfit. So it's this progression. We're seeing visually this progression of somebody who is lost, who's turned himself away from the Force, doesn't, he's hiding, and then his slow progression back to his old self.
Which
I liked. I don't know if that was intentional, because it made sense. Like, it made sense to me. Like, he's they brought him back to basically the hub of this underground railroad for Jedi, and of course they're going to have Jedi outfits there.
Yeah,
because
get rid of them.
Yeah, so it's like, but why give him a Jedi outfit when they could have just given him regular clothing? Because they're hiding these Jedis. They give them a new identification and all that kind of stuff. But I like that visual of him becoming the Obi-Wan that we knew.
Yeah, and there's I have to give Deborah Chow a ton of credit. This is a visually stunning series. It continues to grow in its quality of cinematography as we move through each episode. And there is a lot of little things like that, which are no doubt purposeful, that do show those subtle changes. And I mean, when he I'm not gonna lie, I teared up when he walked up and said, "Hello there," because let me back that up. When he's cleaning out his cave to move into what becomes his hut.
Yeah.
And he holds up the bag with the T-16 Starfighter, and he's like, slings it, heads on out. I was like, he's finally going to give it to Luke. Oh my God. And he has a conversation, and Owen's like, hey, want to meet him? Oh, okay. This is how we establish Ben, Obi-Wan. Do you think they mean old Ben? The guy that lives out in the desert?
Yeah.
It now makes sense how he knows old Ben.
Yeah.
He's met him. Maybe he stopped in once after this moment.
Right.
But there has been some kind of interaction, and now we see it. So I get why people are all freaking out with the hello there. Okay, cool. Yeah, they took the exact same line and the exact same inflection that Alec Guinness had when he greeted Luke, and Ewan McGregor, did that here. That's cool.
Right.
Was it as cool as Vader admitting that he killed Anakin? I don't think so. But
no, for me, the hello there was nice fan service.
Yes.
But basically telling Obi-Wan that, hey, you didn't kill me, Vader, you didn't kill Anakin, I killed Anakin.
Yeah.
Like, that was the closure that Obi-Wan needed to be able to be the Obi-Wan that meets Luke.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there is one person watching, I believe it is Bobby, because he gave it a thumbs up. So hi, Bobby,
okay.
if you can say hi. We're talking Kenobi, if you couldn't figure that out. Amazing finale, amazing series.
Yeah,
just from beginning to end.
Well, I think that's if we went back, I'm willing to bet that when we started with talking about Obi-Wan Part 1 and 2, I'm pretty sure we both had said we got to watch the whole series before really making any judgments. Same with the third sister story arc. Hey, Bobby, what's going on, brother? Hello there. I told you yesterday. I give this an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some missed opportunities with some character growth and development in the beginning, first couple episodes, but that's really my only major negative against it. I find it hard pressed to give something a 10 out of 10, just to be honest. 8 out of 10. I mean, I loved it. I definitely want to sit down and watch it again. If they ever put any of these out on Blu-ray, I want to buy it, add it to my collection. Disney, if you're watching, Blu-ray your series, will you?
But that was one thing I was thinking. It's like, oh shoot, for me, the last 4 episodes of the 7th season of Clone Wars, I screen captured that and edited them together so you can watch it beginning to end without the part 1, part 2. It's just like watching a 2-hour movie, and it's amazing. And I know it's super illegal, but I kind of want to do that with this one.
It's only illegal if you sell it.
Huh?
It's only illegal if you sell it.
There's a little bit more. I wanted to do a movie nights on Fridays at the school. Okay. Got out my old projector because I have one of those old Christie digital projectors that they actually had in the theaters. Yep. So this thing is massive and it's powerful. And so I was making sure that it worked with all my new stuff. And then I started getting, it's like, okay, well, what do I didn't want to, I was just going to give out popcorn for free. I wasn't going to sell. It was basically just, like, here, come watch martial arts movies. And, hey, if you want to, just basically here's the school type thing. And then so I did a little bit of research because there was everybody on the internet is like, oh, well, yeah, if you do, as long as you don't charge for it, it's fine. No, if you are, if you are not showing, like, I could have a movie night with just the students and be like, bring a friend and promote it in school. I could do that, but I couldn't promote it to the public and just let the public come in.
Right. Well, and that's so without derailing the show, when it comes to the viewership pieces like that, you are correct. You can't.
Yeah.
Now, can you edit together the whole series, cut out the credits, make it one long movie? Yes. Can you have that for your personal collection and watch it? Yes. Can you view it in a private setting? Yes. Can you view it in something where, again, it's an open forum, anybody can come in, hang out? No, because now you actually have to pay for the viewing license.
Right.
And that's where things get tricky. It's the same thing like with pay-per-views. I can have 10 people over at my house and watch pay-per-view, totally legal. Yeah. I can't go to a bar, and the bar is paying a different price in most cases to play a pay-per-view. That's why sometimes they charge covers, because they know, hey, we play this pay-per-view, we have to pay extra. Or places like Wing House or Hooters, hey, we're doing the pay-per-view. They know the cost of it is offset by food and alcohol, which they make more profit on anyway. So,
well, I remember. So just like setting up internet for my business, it costs twice as much to have internet for my business than it does at my house, and that's not cable. But I remember way back when I was looking at starting a school, having a storefront school, and I wanted to actually have a television. The way Comcast did it, or back then it was AT&T for us, it was let's see, like before you actually needed boxes. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes you need boxes, sometimes you didn't. But like you paid like maybe $5 a month, rented a $5 box. No, this was just to have an extra cable. It was like $40 a television. Mm-hmm. On top of the service, on top of that, because of course it's a public viewing. So I'm like, well, damn.
I'm good without that.
Yeah. So anyway,
shall we hit Orville? Well, let me ask you this before we do that. Scale of 1 to 10, what do you give Obi-Wan?
I give it I agree about it. I'd say an 8 out of 10. Because it's not perfect, but it is. It's an awesome show. Let's see. The bar restaurants, a huge amount more. Yeah. They change capacity, not TVs for PPV. Oh,
see, I knew it was something like that, but I didn't want to say it because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, well, Bobby manages a bar, so he's the one that should know.
Yep. But Bobby, and you can also say,
good morning, Kenny. Yes, got modular.
But Bobby, you also know, like you can probably talk more about it too. But that profit margin you're making off of the food and alcohol sales typically will offset that initial pay-per-view cost, because you're bringing in people that wouldn't have been there before. But off the business, back to nerdy shit.
Yes. So Orville, or as we should just call it, New Horizons, because and this is kind of where Rob's coming. So when Rob and I talked for fucking 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah, give or take.
Offline, jeez. If we look at Orville New Horizons as Orville, we're connecting it to the first 2 seasons, which was a combination of Star Trek inspired with comedy.
Yeah.
And I know that Seth MacFarlane wanted to get away from the idea that it was a comedy. And that's kind of how Fox presented it, because what is Seth MacFarlane known for? He's known
Family
for
Guy,
comedy.
Dad, I mean.
Yeah, he's, and so, but I liked the fact that it was Star Trek inspired with a touch of Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
And then, but for season 3, it's like, it's automatic. I don't think we've had one lighthearted episode. Everything is super serious. It is a direct ripoff of Star Trek. So
especially this week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So really quick. So but then you generally have to have more staff, more customers.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I really like that show. I should have watched it more. Are you referencing Orville? Because Orville, the first 2 seasons of Orville are great. But when we start getting into the New Horizons portion, like if we look at it as Orville, it is not Orville. It's got the same characters, it's got the same ship, same universe, but it's not the same show. And honestly, I am not liking it at all. Like last night's episode,
Orville. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Last night's episode, this is kind of how it was. It was definitely a take on the polarity between the Democrats and the Republicans, and the surprise overtaking of Trump.
Yeah.
Fake news. And but of course, not like direct. Like you could tell, like, but it was, and then I just
one of the things they touched on was the propaganda, the media propaganda I would say from a very balanced position, because they show the video of the current Supreme Chancellor, and it's like he kills thousands of people, and they're like, what the hell? It's like, oh no, there's tons of these videos and none of it ever happened. But there's also videos of the other girl doing the same thing. Like, it's both sides. It's not one. Like, this is standard practice to create these fake videos.
And it was what did Mercer say? It was basically he didn't use the term bot, but it was a bot. It was all automated. They just go in there. This is what we wanted to happen, and then it's just created.
Right.
So, it's such a ripoff. I actually would have rather had rewatched Doctor Strange. Like, that was kind of like I'm watching this and I'm just like, this is, yeah. I'm just not a big fan.
And I hate to say, I warned you, but I literally that's why when we were talking, I'm like, dude, you need to watch Orville first and then Strange New Worlds, because I think the best way to phrase it is I was extremely disappointed in this episode because of how many tropes and almost direct storylines they pulled directly from Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And how it was built, how it was presented. I don't care about it. And I think that if they had gone from Orville season 1, which was very comedy heavy, into season 2 and made it a little bit more balanced, which in some ways it was towards the end of that season with the Kalons, it was more balanced.
Right.
Then this one started off balanced and then continued on that push into for lack of a better term, serious sci-fi.
Right.
I think it would have been easier to be okay with that transition. But when you start off, the first episode's about suicide. The second episode's about racism. We keep going down these really deep, dark, difficult conversations from the get-go. And now here we are, and we're talking about governmental overthrows, overreaching of power, propaganda, potential wars on two fronts, which you can look at in the current international climate, and say, well, again, we're putting it through the prism of where we're at, China, Russia, and the rest of the world. We have this potential war on two fronts with what's going on in Ukraine, the potential for Taiwan. I mean, you have all this stuff. And I wanted to joke. The problem is the only joke that we got in that episode was in the beginning when they're in the holodeck, whatever the hell they call it, in the Western, which I get. Seth Green, huge Western fan. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad that you like Westerns.
Yeah.
I like Westerns. Is 1,000 Ways to Die, or whatever it was called, in the West.
Right.
I didn't care for it. I tried to watch it twice and whatever. But, the only lighthearted moment we had was Isaac walking in with a cowboy hat on his head. And it was kind of like...
Yeah, and that actually wasn't very funny.
No, it was literally going, okay. Yeah. And then they all walk away. It's like, and we still have the underlying racism. We still have the underlying xenophobia. We still have the, all these things are now compiling versus having some side of episodic resolution, or however you want to phrase it. It's tiring to watch.
Right.
For me, and my perspective on sci-fi, and we've talked about this before, the wokey woke, but I watch sci-fi. I watch stuff like this to get out of and break away from the current insanity, regardless of political opinion, the current insanity that we live in. I want escapism.
Right.
And I'm totally fine with good versus evil. I'm totally fine with gray lines. I'm totally fine with, all this stuff. Trek does it very well for the majority of their shows. Discovery, I'm looking at you. They do it very well for Star Wars, but this just it's almost taking all the worst parts of Trek and of current TV writing and saying, well, if we're going to be a serious show, we're going to be a serious show.
Right.
But you don't have to.
And I would say, like, when we talk woke versus wokey woke, this isn't wokey woke, but it's not woke either. It's just let's just talk about our for instance, this last episode. It's like what you're saying. Star Trek can tell a story that's contemporary. Battlestar Galactica, the new BSG, well, the old BSG, but the new BSG, okay, compared to the original in the 70s. Like, you could rewatch that today and go, oh my God, that could parallel here, but it's not like in your face, like direct parallels. It is, there's an element where you can take it as it's just a show, or you could look at it as, I could probably make some connections here, and that's interesting. But like this last show, it was like, no, here's a direct parallel. Oh, yeah, we're not going to give you any leeway to think anything different.
Right.
No, we're not going to shove any information. Now, we're not telling you how to think, but we're just going to create this story that's got so many parallels that there's no way to outthink it, and that's what I really don't like.
Yeah.
Like hide the parallels. Let me come up with the idea of, oh, there is that there is that connection. That was pretty smart of them to kind of make that connection. And oh, I like that kind of resolution. Well, maybe wouldn't be my resolution, but if I thought of it in a certain way, maybe that I could think of it that. But that's how Star Trek does it.
Absolutely.
That's how BSG did it. Orville just and here's the thing, and I think I've always been torn on Brandon Braga, because I think that he was one of those that became part of Star Trek, and then he killed Captain Kirk, and he was just like, he was kind of the worst part of Next Generation. Now, he did do some good things.
Sure.
There were some things where it's like, oh, Brandon Braga did that? Oh shit, that's actually pretty smart. So when I found out that he was part of Orville, I was like, okay, yes, there's your Star Trek element. That's actually pretty good. And then there's this guy, Howard Griffiths. I haven't seen his name attached to Voyager, but I think he was attached to DS9.
I think so.
So you have those two. I know you've had, I think Jonathan Frakes has actually directed an episode or two of Orville.
Several.
So you're like, okay, well, you've got these Star Trek veterans. So yeah, you've got that Star Trek connection. And that's why we had those elements of Star Trek that we were really, really like. And then, but you had the comedy. Now they took out the comedy, and it's, whether it was a bad trope or not in first or second season, it's just like, give it up.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. Yeah. So I don't know. If I don't watch another Orville episode, I'm not going to feel out of the loop. That's kind of where I'm at.
Like, I feel like I'm, how do I want to phrase this? I feel like I'm a kid back when I was growing up. You probably dealt with the same thing. You gotta, if it's on your plate, you gotta eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like that's Orville. It's on my plate now. I kind of have to eat it.
Yeah.
I may not like it, but I'm gonna have to kind of power through. And
I like what you said yesterday, where it was like, this is turning into a train wreck, and I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested on where they're taking this train wreck.
Yeah. I want to see that. Like, is it going to get worse? Is it potentially going to get better? I mean, I think one of my complaints right now is it's like, so we did, and I can't remember the name of the race for the life of me, but their version of the Klingons. Like the
Krill?
The
Not
Krill.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job starting off going, hey, we have this peace treaty. You can go through their space. You can do all this other stuff. And we dropped all of it. All of it. And now we're like, yeah, we're at war again. What happened to exploring their space? What happened to getting out? We introduced this new, which I like the idea, the spore-based breeding alien.
Yeah.
We'll see you again. Starless space. Dude, this is amazing. We're not doing that no more.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because we wanted to tell this story, and now we're going to be at war with them. Why? Hatred. Well, right. But can't we be past some of this? Because there's a story you started, and you went, it didn't play that well. The focus wasn't on that. The focus was on recovering from divorce, and I'm trying to think what was the big takeaway from the episode. Recovering from divorce and how to continue to maintain a friendship with your exes.
Right.
Okay. Whatever. But we did that, so we're moving on. Like, it's almost like they forget they wrote these or they put out these threads, and they just go, but we're episodic. Snip.
Right.
But what about these big bads? You'll see them one day. I don't need to see them one day. Where are they today? Listen. You need to just cool your jets. You'll see them in season 4, season 5, season 6. We're planting a long-term seed, like the foundation and the changelings. I just DS9 when they started introducing changelings and the Dominion and the probability of war, they strung that out, but did it in such a good way that it's like the threat's always potentially there, and all of a sudden, oh shit, the threat is here. Right. Okay, we're gonna stand up against it. Oh shit, one of our allies turned on us, and now they're with them, and oh, this is just getting from bad to worse. Right now, we just went, yeah, listen, we're gonna make it really, 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 really bad, and we're gonna make it even worse, and we're gonna make it even worse still, and then maybe, possibly, I don't know, we'll see. We'll have it kind of start getting a little bit better. I'm done.
Yeah.
Don't back me into a corner, close off all my exits, and then go, are you having a good time? You having fun? You want to do this again? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to get hit with the whip. I didn't ask to get hit with that. Now, if I ask for it, that's different. Might be into that thing. I don't know. You guys are watching. But I didn't ask for it. I don't mind. Okay, well, let's try this. Oh, it didn't work. We're going to abandon it. But that's not what happened. They dove all in. It's like the meme I sent you yesterday. You don't go full Orville. They went full Orville.
Yeah. Not
the good side. They went full New Horizon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Stepping off.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, we'll have to see what's in store next week. I don't know how many episodes they have. I don't know if it's just 10, because I think that's kind of like a standard, just 10 episodes. But
I'm checking right now. I think it was 10. Yeah, consists of 10 episodes.
Okay. Well,
so we're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
Unless they literally in the back half flip the script.
Right. Well, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
Kind of like Uhura. Let's see. And I liked the way that Anson Mount played the
chicken shit counselor.
The chicken shit
or chancellor.
Yeah, the chancellor. I thought that was hilarious. I liked that there's some type of resolution with Mbenga's daughter.
Yep.
But other than that, I didn't like the episode.
So
it wasn't like, I remember you had mentioned like a fun episode, or you mentioned something about fun episode, but this just wasn't. I don't know. Even if I don't even think if you had even like prefaced it as that. Like, I fell asleep during the episode. I had to go back. I watched, I fell asleep, I woke up, fell asleep. I tried to stay awake, but I kind of woke up at the end where his daughter's like, where he's talking to his daughter after they find her in his quarters.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and I was like, okay, well, all right, well, I gotta, and then the whole, and I may have even missed the conversation that they had with the entity, but because I think that was like right after, it was after the entity talked is kind of where I came up, because I'm like, entity, what entity? So I had to actually go back. I missed like 30 minutes of the episode. So yeah, I had to rewatch. There were elements of it that I liked, but it was just not. And it was much better than last week's episode. Like, last week's episode is probably the worst episode that we've had so far. This episode, not a bad episode. I mean, we have this entity and, some closure with the daughter, and we get to see more of the engineer.
Yep.
Because we don't really get to see him a lot. I mean, he doesn't get to see it all, but
right.
But and there were I don't know. It was just it just wasn't for me. It was kind of a meh episode.
So for me, I had a lot of fun with the episode. I think part of that was because of the pirate episode last week. Mm-hmm. I needed something different, and I felt like this was, we got Mbenga and his daughter being front and center. Horik is also. All the other actors get to kind of get out of their comfort zones. I felt like there were tones from TOS, and I can't remember the episode, but there was one episode where I can't remember if it was the one where they get all the love potion and they're all out of it. There's a couple that they had like that. I have to go back and pull my reference, but I enjoyed it for the fact that it was different. But I liked that it wasn't immediately clear what the hell was going on.
Right.
And so that was kind of the mystery of like, wait a minute, where is everybody? What's happening? Uhura pops on screen.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She is a very talented, very beautiful woman. I'll leave it there because it'll go wrong direction really quickly. But she stole her scenes. And I'm going to be very clear about that. She stole her scenes, not her wardrobe. Yeah. That helped. But she stole those scenes and did a phenomenal job. So I felt like, kind of my mindset watching it was you actually have all the actors get away from their core character trope and be something different. Anson Mount being a chicken shit instead of the captain, right? I thought that was hilarious. The supposed relationship between number one and Ortegas, playing in
yes, we know each other very well.
So it was a lot that I'm like, it was for me, it was just fun. I took it for what it was, that we're now given a necessary resolution to a situation that could have become a major problem, and that's with Mbenga's daughter. And I felt like they ended it. Am I 100% behind there's an entity out there? It felt that I was lonely. It connected to me and took me out of the pattern buffer and allowed me to tell the story that I wanted to tell. And so I have this story that I've told now. I'm either going to die or I can go live in perpetuity with the entity so that she's not alone. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I teared up with Mbenga there. Like, it's your choice. Like, you have to make that decision. And, I love you, Daddy. And like, I teared up. I'm like, oh my God, like you literally your whole focus forever now has been, how do I find a cure for my daughter? And you're failing and you're failing and you're failing and you're failing. But you're constantly trying. And now it's like, she's like, Daddy, I can go be here and be cured, or I can stay here and I can die and be alone. And so she chose not to be alone, which I thought was both a mature decision and interesting. And then I like the fact that the adult version of her came back and said, Daddy, it's okay. Everything's okay. I'm having a lot of fun. I am totally okay. I can't remember the name of that she named the entity, Deborah or whatever.
I think it was Diane.
Diane.
Yeah.
Diane or Deborah. So it started with a D, and he's like,
Deborah.
Deborah. Okay. I didn't remember correctly. Like, that was your mother's name. I know. I'm like, oh, okay. Heartstrings, you're pulling on them. So were there moments that I'm kind of like, you tried to do a little comedy here and it fell flat? Yeah. But I think overall, I would give it a 7 as far as an episode, because going back to like the Orville comparison, I was not worried about the episode before. I wasn't worried about the episode after. I felt like a start to finish solid story, great acting. And I was entertained enough to not worry about the fact that I had this deadline at 3 p.m. that day. And I was the only person at work that was well ahead of the curve. And I'm biting my nails to get everyone else to get this project done. So when it's done, I sat down and watched it. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back to work. Like I felt removed from my moment. And so for me, that's what made it. It was fun. It was entertaining. It wasn't a normal villain of the week kind of thing or alien race of the week kind of thing. It was a different take, almost like a Q continuum without being annoying.
Right.
That can be. So that was my thoughts. You know, like I said, I enjoy it, but you know, that's the purpose of the show, right? Is to put our conversations to tape, but B,
right.
You know, we're not always going to see eye to eye. Just like I think his name is Michael when he sent in that long laundry list of issues. Like, hey, we're totally cool. Like we're going to have difference of opinion, and it's about having that conversation because we all are going to see something a little bit different in an episode.
Yeah. I even last night when I was watching it, I watched Orville and then I watched Strange New Worlds back to back late at night. And so I was even not with the Orville, but with Strange New Worlds, it was even last night I was like, I probably shouldn't be watching it late at night. So this is one of those episodes that I could probably be like, okay, I probably should have watched it during the day when I wasn't distracted, when I wasn't like on time crunch or anything like that. Or like, so I'll probably end up going, I'll probably actually go back and watch the whole thing later, but just as my first viewing, that's kind of how I took stuff. Now, if I watch last week's episode a second time,
I don't know if I could.
I don't know if I don't know if I'd really like that, because I liked elements of this episode. It just didn't speak to me, and maybe like Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan. Well, I was always here. You just weren't ready to listen.
Maybe,
or you weren't ready. Yeah. So I don't know, but it is what it is. I mean, there's going to be episodes out there that. Yeah.
I mean, every TV series, no matter how amazing, is going to have an episode that falls flat. That was last week for Strange New Worlds. Yeah. This one was better, So I think even people that agreed with us and was like, "Holy shit, this pirate thing was horrible." Although again, some of the acting was great. This episode, they might say the same thing because look, I'm not gonna lie. There moments that it drags on. Yeah, there are some moments that it kind of dragged on. I did like the fact that all the red shirts became Red Guard. I thought that was kind of funny. Spock's the evil wizard, Horak's the Gandalf the White, if you will. And as the viewer, we connected to the fact that this was the story well before Mbenga did. He's having the flashbacks of these characters. He's like, wait, oh my God, we're in the story, but this isn't right. This isn't supposed to happen. Like you've never met in the story. Oh my God, like that light bulb moment he had. Like, oh my God, my daughter's. Where is she? Where the hell is she? Because she's not in the transporter buffer, and she's not.
Right.
Holy shit, So
I thought Liana or whatever her name is with the prissy with the dog. My God.
That's another chance to say wow. Wow.
And what a different, I mean, like, I do like the fact that we really get to see the acting talents of these actors. It's not just, they're not just playing these characters. They're playing it totally, it's not like, William Shatner playing William Shatner as Captain Kirk.
Right.
Or as, evil Captain Kirk.
Right.
This is
Shatner
actually
playing Julius Caesar.
Okay. So, quick left turn to Albuquerque. I have been thinking the next time Shatner comes to town, whether it be Portland or back at SummerCon or whatever, if he does a panel and we can ask questions, or maybe even just go up and do a signature, I'd be like, I have a really quick question. I'm really waiting for the one-man Julius Caesar show. Yeah. Are you going to is that going to happen?
Where is William Shatner's and William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Is Sharon Stone still involved? Is that still gonna? Is that we still moving forward with that?
Or did you get Heather Locklear to be part of it? I hear you guys are friends.
You and Heather like that. Yeah, I was talking to my buddy last night, and he said something. I don't remember what it was, and I threw out a free enterprise line, and he did one of these things, and I went, oh, you've never seen Free Enterprise? He's like, no. Oh, we were talking about Fanboys. We were talking about Fanboys, the Star Wars film, and I was like, dude, if you really like that, you have to watch Free Enterprise. I was like, I will find you a copy, or I will let you borrow my copy, or whatever, but you have to watch Free Enterprise. And we talked him through the whole thing. He's like, I think I would like that. I'm like, you would, because it's 90s nerddom, it's 70s, 80s, 90s nerddom, and I'm like, and honestly, for as big of a Star Wars and Star Trek fan as I am, I quote that movie more than I quote all Star Wars and Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me. I still want the sequel or the TV series or something.
Yeah, no, that's just that'd be awesome. Okay, well, even like when I what was it? I showed you the video, or maybe I sent you the picture of him coming in. Sure. I was like, he said we walked right by me, and he wasn't even perusing porn. You got to watch the movie.
If you're not tracking along with us, go watch Free Enterprise.
That's okay.
It's well worth it.
All right. So let's see. Anything else that we need for Free Enterprise? Strange New Worlds. This was episode 8, so we've got 2 more episodes left. I haven't heard anything of when season 2 is out, but I know that they've already filmed season 2. Yep. So I don't know if it's going to be one of those where we're still going to have to wait a year, or 6 months or whatever. But
I'm thinking it's probably going to be. So we've got 2 more weeks, so that puts us in July. I'm thinking it might be maybe a February, March, might be a spring release for it,
right?
Because you got all that VFX that you have to create and render,
right?
And I think that might be what's going on. But the fact that they are staying on a regular shooting schedule, it seems to be staying 10 episodes. I would like to see it come out a little bit sooner, but I still, even with the pirate episode, I still put this up at the top of my Trek list. I still think that this is one of the best Trek shows they've done. Because even TOS had some episodes where like,
yeah. Okay, so Year of Trek, we're almost to the end of. In fact, let me go to my calendar. So yesterday was Human Error and Q2. I didn't get a chance to watch those at all. Today is Author, and Friendship 1.
Yep.
But then Saturday is Natural Law and Homestead, and then Sunday is Renaissance Man, and Endgame, which is the season finale. So pretty much Monday, like this Monday is the beginning of Enterprise. So I'm going to try and watch over this weekend all the rest of Voyager, so I can be ready for Broken Bow on, I'll talk Year of Trek on Monday, kind of go over all those episodes, and then Broken Bow. Really looking forward to that.
Not too far behind you. I'm watching Fairview, or as I like to call it, How Janeway Got Her Groove Back. That's where I just started.
So that is
season 6. Like halfway through season 6.
Fairhaven.
Fairhaven, not Fairview. Excuse me.
That's episode 131.
Yeah.
So
I'm catching up, but I'll be in Jacksonville this weekend, so I'll have to burn through a bunch of episodes Monday, Tuesday, but trying to get back up to speed.
Right on. Let's see. And then, so yesterday I was actually talking about the guy that Janeway was banging on the planet during Workforce.
Yep.
And I was like, he looked familiar, and I couldn't remember where I saw him from. And then it just kind of hit me, because when you mentioned the Orville and the what is it called? The divorce episode.
Right.
That was the dude that played That's James Reed. He's the one that was the doctor's ex-husband.
Yep.
Who was also the Charmed One's father. He's the one that was in Voyager. So now I don't know if they use that same actor as Mark. I don't know. Janeway's Mark in the beginning, because we do see a picture of him.
Yes.
But he's only in one episode. He's only in one episode of Voyager, and that was the Voyager episode where he plays Jaffin. So that was again James Reed putting his, being part of sci-fi. So, but yeah, so I kind of looked that up while you were talking. I was like, oh, that's who he was. That's why he looks so familiar. So, but let's see. No birthdays as well. Let's see. Are there birthdays to speak of today or over the weekend? Let's go to Facebook.
Zuckerberg knows everything.
Yes. Let's see. When is... All right, so Saturday. So today's the 24th. So I actually do have a few friends whose birthdays are coming up. Lois Clark. He's actually know him through Bram, and then Mike Palmer. He's a martial artist. He's with I think he's with DKI, but I'm not sure. I've never met him in real. So, but anyway, their birthdays are tomorrow. So happy birthday! Or actually, no, their birthdays are. Yeah, today's the 24th. Tomorrow's the 25th. Their birthdays are tomorrow. So. And then a special mention has to go out. I cannot remember his last name, so I'm going to look him up here. Oh, shoot. But anyway, okay. I don't know if you know this guy, Don Recepco. Don Recapito.
Yep.
Anyway, he passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and I look at him. He looks familiar, and I'm like, and I knew that he had posted last week that he was still around. He was still above ground, but he had days or weeks left. And so I actually had to, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but have I actually met him? And because he looks more familiar than just seeing pictures on Facebook.
Right.
But yes, he actually has been a regular out at Jim Cord's camp. So that's where I recently remember seeing him. So anyway, Don, rest in peace.
Yep.
And then let's see. That's pretty much it. Don't have anything else to. Nothing new. Like even like the slides. I will need to update the slides. So we got Jack, Troy and Lee today and tomorrow, Rory tomorrow, and then everything else. I did get all my stuff up for the open house, so
nice.
Got those flyers done and all that. So, and then I will. Oh, can't do that. And then let's see. I will have to update this because Obi-Wan will no longer be on there. Those will be updated. Stranger Things. Have you watched any of Stranger Things? I don't know if we've really ever talked about that.
I have not, but just like Enterprise, for how much you speak about it, it has now made it to my list.
Yeah.
I just started watching Man vs. Bee with Rowan Atkinson.
Okay.
Because I love his slapstick comedy. So thoroughly enjoyed the first episode.
Right on.
Nothing nerddom. It's Mr. Bean, except this guy talks. So like I said, I've loved him from Blackadder on. I mean, he's a very talented actor and a very good physical comedian. So that's when this one's done, then I will flip over and try and catch up with the rest of Americana. Going Stranger Things is amazing. I'll catch it.
It's not amazing. It is a good story, but it's very nostalgic. That's kind of where I'm getting on. It's like, do we enjoy stuff because of the nostalgia or because of the story?
Right.
So, but there are a lot of younger crowds that really enjoy it, that are just like, oh yeah, it's okay. I mean, I was barely a thought in my dad's pants in the 80s, you know.
we weren't, but you know, I don't know. I got to check it out. Still have to watch Doctor Strange. Just finally caught the new Ghostbusters. I think it was a week or two ago.
Afterlife?
I really enjoyed.
Oh, Afterlife was amazing.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really hopeful they continue on with it. And then I watched the behind the scenes featurette on how they put Egon into it, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. It's great use of technology and very fitting for the character and for the actor.
Yeah. And as a Force ghost, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I was like, there you go. There's your Star Wars nod.
All right. So for those of you who tuned in today, thank you. If you're watching this so far right now, because nobody else is watching this right now, but if you have watched it this far off the air, that's great. Thank you for hanging out. This episode happens every Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. What is it? Noon 30.
Yep.
Eastern. So Rob and I talk the new stuff that's come out. So this, of course, this is spoilers, and that's probably why nobody's watching, because nobody's caught up.
And that's okay.
That is okay. But anyway, join me Monday morning, because there are no teas over the weekend. But Monday morning, 9:30, it'll be me, and I'll be talking martial arts and Star Trek and all that nifty stuff. So, all right. Until, I can't say mañana, but until Monday, live long and prosper.